How about that Costanza bobblehead they're doing at Yankee Stadium? That's freaking sweet.
I didn't hear about this. Please, divulge. Please divulge.
It's in our group chat. They're doing a giveaway to like 15,000 fans on. They're calling it Costanza Day, and it's just a George Costanza holding the bat in the batting cage, and it's just a bobblehead of him. It's great.
That's gorgeous. That's awesome.
Yeah. All right, you guys ready to start?
Let's do it. All right, guys.
Let's do it, boys.
Welcome back to another episode of Gary Williams Stole My Lawn Furniture. I sound like a frog because it's St. Patrick's month, and so I apologize for my terrible voice, and I also feel and look like hell. So apologies in advance, but it's good to see you guys as always.
Yeah, good to see you too, man. Glad you're on.
Good to see you as well.
Glad you're upright.
Yep.
How's
Don't have to do the pod horizontal.
Any good stories? Any good stories from this weekend from the two bar goers?
Nothing really crazy, which is good. I lit a prayer candle to make sure we didn't have any fights or no one threw up. And the prayers worked, so we're good.
Yeah, nothing too crazy. Obviously really busy weekend in Ocean City. Been a long weekend, but it's over now, and it's nice to have a little break, put my feet up.
Y'all make all the money.
What's it like
out
in
Indianapolis? We tried to make all the money. What'd you say, Brian?
What's it like out in Indianapolis, like for St. Patrick's month, Brooks?
This weekend looked pretty crazy from all the stuff that I was looking at on Instagram. I didn't hit any of the town really, obviously. So Saturday, Caitlin worked. So daddy daycare for Saturday. Sunday was Caitlin's mom's birthday, so we went over there and celebrated all day.
Cool.
Just hung out with the family.
Cool.
Everybody had their tents up and everything else that I think everybody's doing, and all the bands and stuff like that. So looked like a good time. Looked like it was pretty busy at all the major Irish pubs nearby.
Yeah. Do a lot of people concentrate downtown, or do they go out to like the burbs?
Both. I mean, like I said, everywhere. Like even the stuff up here in Carmel looked really, really busy. And then I saw people that were downtown at the bars, and just from the background, it looked like everywhere was packed. So that's good for the city. Good for the bars. 100%.
So you guys get to watch the players at all yesterday? That was the nastiest lip out I've ever seen.
Oh man. I was glued to the TV even during busy time. I was glued to the television watching that, and golf needed that bad because that was awesome to watch.
Yeah, loaded top 10 as we thought going into the week. Really, Scheffler is down 5 on Sunday, starting his round, and then all of a sudden he's down 2, and then all of a sudden he's up 2, and it's just like. It just seems inevitable at this point, but we were obviously just referencing the Wyndham Clark lip out on 18. If you guys didn't see it, Wyndham Clark had a chance to tie Scotty Scheffler to force a playoff on the last hole and hit a putt from about 15 feet that looked like it was going in the whole way, and it went about halfway down and lipped out, and it was pretty brutal. If you haven't seen the video, look it up. It's pretty crazy. Brooks, did you get to see it?
Yeah, it hit just about every edge of that hole. It literally did a 180 on him, like.
Yeah.
And he almost fist pumped twice during that thing.
Yeah.
If you look at the replay, if you're watching him, that sucks. I'm more upset that Schauffele blew it. I mean, I was rooting for Schauffele the whole time, but again, Schauffele just doesn't seem to be able to get it done when he needs to.
Yeah.
Maybe that's Wyndham Clark justice. Like what Dusty was saying last week on the pod was, he kind of pulled the ladder up after he made it to the top. And so maybe that's justice.
Yeah. I mean, look, he finished second. He finished second to the same guy 2 straight weeks. I'm sure it doesn't feel good, but I mean, he's looking up at probably definitely the best golfer in the world right now, and probably the best golfer we've seen in years. I mean, like he's on a hell of a run right now. First player to ever win this tournament back to back. Tiger never did that. None of those. Phil never did that. None of those great players from the 80s and 90s ever did it either.
First player to win Arnold and this back to back as well, I believe, in the same year.
There you go. Crazy. That's crazy that nobody's done that. Yeah, I think it's just like if he gets the putter going, he gets hot on any of these days. Really, it doesn't really matter. It feels like he's gonna be in the mix pretty much every tournament he plays. But yeah, I mean he's on a hell of a run. That's that's all I can say about him for sure.
Once he gets
Another couple more guys, Brian Harmon, and yeah, we talked about Xander Schauffele finishing second. I mean Xander, it just feels like the same old story for him. I feel bad for him, but he never comes through on Sundays.
he's the opposite of Scheffler. I'm not saying he crumbles, but he can't close. He's a middle reliever in golf. He is the middle reliever.
He seems like if he's in 40th going into Sunday, that's when he really shines to get up into that 5th to 7th range. Yeah. But if he's in first or second, it's just he's going to shoot one under or one over, and he's not going to do anything spectacular, and he's going to just let somebody come and beat him. I do feel bad for him. I like the guy. I'm rooting for him all the time, but until he proves it on Sundays, I mean, we got to criticize him.
Have to.
Harmon made a good run on the weekend. Went crazy on Friday and Saturday. He's my guy. He won me a ton of money at the Open last year, the British Open. I had him at 100-1. But yeah, coming up this week we have the.
He's on a crazy two-year streak right now. I mean, he's a mid 30s or late 30s, something like that, and he's playing the best golf of his life the last 2 years.
Yeah, he's a Georgia boy. Kistner was in the booth this week, rooting him on the whole time. That was pretty good. He's been great. Have you guys listened to Kistner at all, or have you?
Yeah, I have. He's awesome. He does great commentary. I can never look at him though because I continuously stare at Brad Faxon and how awkward he looks. But listening to Kistner is great.
Yeah, and it's only going to get better as he loosens up too.
Yeah,
this is only his third event. I think it's only his third or fourth event that he's done. So
yeah, and he's still playing too. He's playing the side events, trying to get back onto the tour. So he's doing two things at once. He's not putting all of his effort right now into the broadcasting side, but I'm sure he's going to transition to that role nicely.
What happened to him? Like, how did he get off the tour? Did he just stop playing? Did he have some sort of issue? Did he get hurt? Like, what happened?
He's not. Bottom line, he just hasn't been quite good enough. He's just kind of in that range of golfers. Like golf really tightened up at the top. Now there used to be a lot more opportunities to get into the playoffs and a lot more opportunities to play in all of these tournaments. But since Live and Live in the PGA, like the PGA has changed all of their structure to include these elevated events and make sure these top players are funneling all the money to them. And so the borderline guys like Kevin Kistner kind of fell off. His game fell off a little bit, and now he's got to work his way back into the top 125. I mean, it's just there's 125 golfers in the world. That's not that many. No. So yeah. Look, this week looking ahead, Valspar, Copperhead course in Innisbrook. This used to be Tiger's old tune-up for the Masters. But obviously he's not playing in this much anymore. No Scheffler or Rory, a couple of the big names not playing, but still a pretty good field. Xander's the favorite, coming off that big tournament he just had. Sam Burns up there too. He won 2 years ago and he T6 last year. A couple guys I like down the board are Brian Harmon, who just came in second this past week. He's tied for fifth in this tournament in 2022. And he's 25-1 to win. And then Nick Taylor, pod favorite, won me a ton of money on Super Bowl Sunday at the Waste Management. Just balls of steel on that guy. Top 10 this week at the Players. He was top 10 at this tournament last year. He's still 30-1. I think he should be more in the 20-1 range with the Jordan Spieth, Tony Finau kind of guys. He's really proven that he's that class of player.
Oh
yeah, I mean, I was going to say, you just said it. Like, I feel like he's been top 10 in every tournament this year. It feels like, at least.
He's all over the place.
Canadian.
Yep. Speaking of Canadians, Joey Votto to the Blue Jays. You guys see that?
First at bat, or was it first pitch?
First pitch.
Yahtzee.
Yep.
I mean, I know we talked about it. We would have loved to have him. That could have been our veteran bat right there.
Yeah.
sign a vet minimum deal. I'm sure he probably had vet minimum offers from just about every team in the MLB, but decided to go home to the Blue Jays. Hits a home run the first pitch of spring training. Really hope he has a nice little farewell tour this year. If he has a great rejuvenation season. He's 40 years old though, so we'll see. He's obviously not going to be playing for much longer.
It's funny, we were going to have Spencer Horowitz on last week, and he plays first base for the Blue Jays, and I don't think he's making the big club now that Joey Votto got signed.
Oh man,
no, that's okay.
Yeah, well,
figure it out.
Yeah, he'll get up eventually. He's too good not to. The guy hits too much. Spring training. Orioles are 18-5. Couldn't be happier about this. Winning is contagious. Start doing it now. Yeah, obviously, these are exhibition games. They don't matter that much, but we have a plus 37 run differential in 23 games. That's more than twice the next closest team, which is the Nationals somehow at 18. Kyle Stowers hit 3 bombs yesterday on Sunday. I can't really see a way that he doesn't make the team at this point. You guys, what do you guys think? Have you seen anything?
He's left no doubt at this point. I mean,
yeah.
I agree with you. I don't think there's any way that you can keep off the team.
Yeah.
I mean, just ride the hot bat for a little bit if you want to do that. If you want to play that game, like Brian has said with the train back and forth from Norfolk, just ride him for a little while until he gets cold or something. But yeah, I just don't see I don't think there's any way you can keep him off the team at this point.
Yeah. And 2 of his home runs were against major league arms. These weren't against, bottom of the barrel dudes who are trying to make a squad where they had names on the back of their jerseys, put it that way. They weren't number 89.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's doing it against real talent.
Yeah. I'm as excited as I could possibly be about the prospect of him making the team and making an impact because he seemed like the kind of guy that was going to get lost in the shuffle, and now he's making a real push. And it's exciting especially when you have as deep a farm system as we do for guys that you don't really have much expectations for to exceed expectations. It really helps even solidify that farm system even more. Bradish threw a bullpen session last week, fastball only, but said he felt good, felt normal. He's supposed to throw again this week. No setbacks so far. You guys have hopes, or are we still skeptical?
Skeptical. At least we're not the Yankees. I think someone probably got hurt on the Yankees before we started this podcast, and between now and then, I mean, it's so bad.
Yeah.
They're like they're a walking crutch of an organization at this point. It feels like, I'm still skeptical. Anything with elbow stuff like that, I'm gonna be skeptical because it always just feels like you're delaying the inevitable. So hopefully, I mean, knock on wood, I hope everything keeps trending and we're good, and and it can heal naturally. But yeah, we'll wait and see. I don't want to transition yet, but like with Garrett Cole, I feel like he's delaying the inevitable right now too. So we'll get to that. We'll get there.
Yeah.
Corbin Burns getting
only other
ball. I think nobody's surprised about that, right?
Yeah, I don't think so, especially with Bradish not healthy. I think you could have made an argument for Bradish, but I mean, look, we traded for Corbin Burns. It was the biggest splash move we made in the offseason. I think he's got to get the ball on opening day. Even
though everybody's kind of up in arms about him not performing as well as we thought in spring training, but spring training, guys, be good.
That's why I'm not reading anything into any of these numbers that Dusty just rolled off, because it is still fucking spring training. But everyone's always going to make the excuse if someone's not performing. It's like, I'm working on this, or I'm working on that. Just get your job done.
Yeah, totally agree. We can talk about Garrett Cole now, though. We just brought him up. He's out at least for the early part of the season with an elbow injury. They're saying he doesn't need Tommy John. It was good news on all the scans that came back. They said he's not going to be throwing again for at least 3 or 4 weeks. And they're saying 1 to 2 months minimum that he's out. But I mean, I would imagine it's going to be closer to the All-Star break before we even see anything out of Garrett Cole. If there's any chance that he can be healthy this year, they got to keep him healthy for down the stretch.
Whatever he got done, I know Brian sent it into the group chat. I forget the name of the surgery, that he got done or whatever it was. He did that at Elatrosh, right? Where everyone's getting their Achilles fixed these days, and Rodgers almost came back in the same season. I think
No,
he
I
got
don't
it.
know. This is
I
news
think
to
he
me.
got it done at Elatrosh. I've never heard of the surgery before, so I mean, if it works, this could be huge news.
Yeah.
So something to look into.
I mean,
Also didn't know Elatrosh was what's his name down in Alabama who used to do all the time or still does all the Tommy John surgeries. The most famous guy, and I'm blanking
Dr.
on his
Andrews?
name.
is it Dr.
Dr.
Andrews?
Andrews. I think it's his apprentice or something like that, which I didn't
Okay.
realize until this week either. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I've never heard of that particular place procedure, but if it makes sense, that I think that J.K. Dobbins and Aaron Rodgers both got their Achilles done by those people. Yeah, I mean, if there's some sort of new surgery they can do for partially torn elbows or whatever, that's gonna save a lot of people a lot of money and a lot of headaches. But we got to be skeptical. At the very best, we're thinking Garrett Cole is gonna be back around All-Star break. So that's huge blow for the Yankees.
Couldn't Tommy John be in the Hall of Fame?
I don't
You
know.
can't-
I don't know anything about the guy.
You can't tell the story of baseball without Tommy John. I mean,
Well, you
everyone's
certainly
getting
can't.
now.
That's true. Yeah, I don't know. I induct him into some sort of sports Hall of Fame, or just, I mean, they definitely should reference him in the Hall of Fame.
They probably do. I bet you there's
But I don't know.
some kind of wall or something in there, like saying like, "Hey, here's Tommy John, the reason why he's named Tommy John, and the whole backstory." I bet, but I haven't been I haven't been to Cooperstown in God knows how long, so I don't know if it's there or not.
Yeah.
I'm looking up his stats right now. I like the first thing that comes up is Tommy John underwear, by the way, on my phone.
I had a teacher in high school that always used to say, "What were the odds that Lou Gehrig would get Lou Gehrig's disease?"
Slim.
All right. So
Shout out Jeff Blake.
while we're on the baseball topic, I got trivia today. All right.
Okay.
There are two players in Major League Baseball history who have more than 350 home runs and less than 500 strikeouts in their career. Can you name them? And we can soak on this for a while.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna need some time.
Mark Reynolds? No, I'm joking. Mark Reynolds had like 250 strikeouts in one season.
All right, the biggest news probably. What were you thinking about the Dylan Cease trade? Did San Diego get fleeced? Or did the White Sox get fleeced, I mean?
I think the White Sox got fleeced.
It seems like everyone thinks the White Sox got a little fleeced. Yeah. They got a decent amount of talent back, but none of the top 4 ranked guys for San Diego. I did think it was interesting that the number 85 ranked prospect in baseball, Drew Thorpe, he's a right-handed pitching prospect, is going to Chicago. He was I think he was the centerpiece of the Juan Soto deal, the trade that sent Juan Soto from San Diego to New York a couple months ago. So he's on the move again. I'm sure. I feel bad for that guy. I mean, he's just got traded twice in the last 3 months. But yeah, I don't know. It's obviously time will tell how the trade shakes out for anything like this, especially a deal that's like prospect heavy like this. You're not going to see immediate returns. But yeah, it's 2 years of control for San Diego. So I think they probably are the winners of the trade.
I would say. Yeah, just don't love this. And it must be, I mean, we must not have been willing to give up much for him. So, which is fine. But especially with some of the free agent names that are still out there. I mean, we don't really need to yet. So
I don't know if it was if the package of prospects was different or if they were looking at different things for different teams. But the rumors back earlier in the offseason were that they wanted Westberg and a couple other guys in return. Westberg was one of our top couple prospects and still really is. So, yeah, I don't think we were willing to part ways with him. But 2 years of Dylan Cease is very tempting. I mean, especially in a league, everyone needs starting pitching. But I think for the White Sox, it kind of just means that they're hitting reset in Chicago.
It surprises me the Yankees were involved in this. I mean, for what?
Yeah.
What they gave, what Cease went for. I mean,
yeah.
Why wouldn't the Yankees want that? I mean, they're in. I'm not going to say peril, but they're getting there.
Yeah.
What speaking of the Yankees, what was going on with I didn't get to read what Foy sent in the other day. I believe that Stroman was turning down the opening day starting job. Was that true, or what's going on there?
I didn't look into this, but I did hear about it.
All right.
Okay, good. Yeah, I didn't really look into that, but that would be interesting. Something interesting to look up. Because I completely forgot about it. It was such a busy weekend. I wasn't able to dive into that. Marcus Stroman is the logical candidate to start on opening day, but he prefers to stay on his current schedule, which has him lined up to pitch on March 30th instead of March 28th. So I guess he's on some sort of schedule where he needs to pitch every so many days, and it lines up that the 30th is just better for him.
Brooks, why are pitchers so finicky and stupid?
I don't know, man. I couldn't tell you. I mean, I could understand being like upset about being on short rest, but Jesus Christ, like what do we got? We got a couple more weeks left.
Yeah, we got 2 weeks.
You can restructure what you're fucking doing.
Just sit down sit on the shelf for a couple days and then restart. Like
Garrett Cole wanted to beat the shit out of Billy Crystal last year on opening day, making too long for his first pitch. What is wrong with you people? And then you got people like Scherzer who are like, "Give me the ball, I'll go throw it against a wall for a day."
Yeah, I mean, definitely you want that guy instead of the guy. If you don't want the ball on opening day, especially if you're playing in New York, I mean, I don't know. I don't think he's gonna have like the New York spotlight struggles like that Sonny Gray had, but I think that's ridiculous, dude. Just take the ball on opening day.
Yeah.
Who are they going to start? Rodon? Is he even going to play this year? Is he
Don't
good?
know.
Is he Carl Pavano 2.0?
I mean, I haven't looked up any news. I haven't heard any news. So I don't know. I'm not really sure, to be honest with you. Glad the Orioles didn't end up getting him.
Yeah, I know. I was actually pretty in on him too.
Everybody was. I think we all were.
Yeah.
Also with the Yankees, we got Seinfeld night, George Costanza bobblehead night, July 5th.
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to be fantastic. I don't know what those things are going to be going for on eBay, but I'm definitely going to be looking into acquiring one.
I might travel to New York just to get one.
I don't even know who they're playing that day, but it might be a fun trip to go up there. That's the day after. It's 5th of July. That's going to be tough for me.
Oh yeah.
I mean, is this a no-brainer for the Orioles to do the, what's her name?
Elaine
night.
Oh yeah, Elaine night. Yeah,
they got to.
They
got to do it July. They got to do it July 5th too. They got to do it on July 5th.
Omar bobblehead night. We need other Baltimore references.
Hell yeah,
Omar bobblehead night would crush.
Oh
yeah, Omar. Especially with Batista having the whistle before he comes out of the bullpen. I love that. Yeah, I think we can. You guys want to hit on anything else baseball wise before we move on to football?
I looked at Tommy John's stats. He should be in the Hall of Fame for his stats. His 288 wins and a 3.3 ERA.
In what years? What are the years, Bri?
Oh, good trivia question. Who did he play for?
1800s?
He was all over the map. He was White Sox, Dodgers, Yankees, Toronto, California Angels, and then the Yankees again. He played 26 years.
Jesus.
What? Jamie Moyer?
Yeah. 288 wins, 334 ERA.
What years range did he play?
His last year playing was 1989.
Oh, okay, that's a lot more recent than I would have guessed.
He has 1 year off in 1975 for, guess what? Tommy John surgery.
Damn. Did he perform it on himself?
That'd be great.
Interesting.
We've looked into this before, but it would be interesting to know how many Hall of Famers had Tommy John. I know it's Smoltz. We had this conversation.
We did
recently.
before we even started the podcast. At one,
Yeah.
we definitely drinking one night. We had this conversation. I feel like.
Yeah.
Who?
I don't know.
We also had
that's something we can come back to.
Yeah.
We also had the conversation that who has come back from a second Tommy John surgery or something like that. I forget what it wasn't. Something like that, and been successful.
I think
Really was like Verlander, and
no, Verlander's only had one.
What about Jameson? I can't say his last name. Taillon.
Has he had two?
I think he's had two.
I forget. I'd have to go back.
This is something this is something we'll look more into, and then we'll come back with more information on next podcast, maybe. So we don't misinform our audience here.
We don't know shit about fuck.
If you're coming to us for correct information, you're coming to the wrong place.
Oh yeah, you're
we are gonna talk about some football though. Start off with some Raven stuff. The biggest news for the Ravens this week, I think, is the Ronnie Stanley restructure of his contract. It saves the Ravens $10 million in 2024 cap space. That's huge. That's like, hey, now we have money to maybe bring back a guy like Clowney, or maybe we have a chance to get Zeitler and give him one more year, give his replacement 1 year of get a good offensive lineman. But yeah, it's a huge deal, and it also it makes it so Stanley is now a free agent at the end of this season as opposed to next season. And that's huge because the Ravens were going to have to take on a massive penalty to cut him after this season if he doesn't perform well, and now they're not going to. The downside is if he comes back to form and plays his ass off, then he's probably going to be going somewhere else in free agency, or he's going to be looking for a big time extension. But
give him some
what we've seen the last couple of years, there's no indication of that. Yeah,
give him some incentive. I mean, this has been rough watching him the last couple of years. I mean, yeah. I mean, I didn't know. I'm glad you broke that down for like the money wise and everything and those implications, because I did not know that. But yeah, that's huge. I mean, giving us an out after this year makes all the sense in the world after the way he's played the last 2 years.
Yeah, and the rumor, I hope it's fake, is that he is just kind of soft. And what this deal really told me, Dusty, thank you for breaking it down like you did. It just really tells me that we're going to draft a tackle.
Yeah.
Got to. I mean, at this point.
I mean, you got rid of Moses.
Yeah.
So I don't even think we have a right tackle at the moment.
No.
We're drafting somebody to replace Ronnie Stanley.
We have
pick up somebody off the scrap heap.
We've got 8 or 9 draft picks, and if we take 7 offensive linemen, I would be ecstatic.
Yeah, and I don't want Bakhtiari. I mean, I know he's a free agent now. He's basically the same thing as Ronnie Stanley right now because he can't play. Yeah. He's on a snap. And when he does, he's on a snap count. So
another guy. Yeah, and another guy is just going to be way too much money.
Not that I think he's soft like Ronnie Stanley, but I just think he might just be calling it a career here soon.
Yeah. A couple other things. I think the Patrick Queen news broke the day after we recorded last week. So Patrick Queen to the Steelers. We kind of had a week to digest that. We knew he was going to be gone. I didn't really think he was going to be going to the Steelers or in division. You guys think this is bad news? Good news? What do you think?
I was surprised he got what he got. I thought he was going to get more after the year he's coming. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not super thrilled about it. I'm not thrilled just because he's going to the Steelers, because that just kind of goes against everything that we kind of go against with that whole rivalry. But am I afraid of him? No.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw what he was before Roquan got there.
Yeah.
But maybe they might have that guy up in Pittsburgh that can compliment him like that as well. So we'll see.
Yeah.
see how it goes. I think Drew said it best. Like, I'm gonna love seeing Derrick Henry running up the middle towards him.
Yeah, that's another thing we didn't talk about. Derrick Henry. You guys
Yep.
excited?
Great suit. Good God.
Yeah.
Great suit.
Great suit.
Talk about a defensive end playing running back. That dude is humongous.
Yeah.
So,
When he was walking into the building, they had I guess in Owings Mills, he was walking to the building to sign his contract, and they had him just walking next to normal sized human beings, and he just looked like he was a foot taller than
Yeah.
Harbaugh, I've met John Harbaugh. He is not a short guy. He made Harbaugh look like a child.
Yeah.
I'm ecstatic. I just think it's gonna be such a good fit. I mean, it's like when Willis McGay, he came here like a thud. Like he's just gonna crunch people. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna give a new dynamic because we didn't really have that last year. Besides, I mean, we had Gus Edwards, I guess, but his yards per carry went down a ton. I think by
Mhm.
a yard or more. So, and I mean, it doesn't seem like he's losing steam by the stats that I've seen been being put out. Like I know he had the year where he was hurt, but I mean, the guy
Yeah.
is kind of defying what running backs do, where you think he's be getting worn down by now, but he's just
Yeah.
keeps on trucking. So
Can you imagine being a middle linebacker and you see Patrick Ricard coming to you, and then behind him is a man carrying a football that is swinging a baseball bat named Derrick Henry?
yeah,
Yeah.
Uh,
I think it's
see ya.
absolutely terrifying.
I'd run to the sideline.
yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's a
you saw
terrifying
you
prospect.
saw what happened in the playoffs to the Ravens defense when we had to play him at full health. I mean, he just
Yeah.
demolished us.
And it's gonna run so well in our offense too. I mean, we're gonna run. I would imagine we're gonna try to run a lot of 2 tight end sets now that Likely has kind of emerged himself as a pretty really I would say probably one of the best TE2s in the NFL. So if we run 2 tight end sets with Likely and Andrews, and we have Ricard on the field, those jumbo sets are going to be tough to stop with Derrick Henry. And also, if Lamar pulls it out of Derrick Henry's stomach at the last second, I mean, everyone's going to be gunning for Henry, and then Lamar could just run around the line. I'm sure we'll see that a few times this year.
I love our tight end combos. So when you have Mark Andrews, who's a bigger, broader tight end, and then you also have Likely, he's got a little bit of that Darren Waller, elusiveness. It's such a good combination. And then, like Dustin just said, when you have the Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson combo there, it's gonna be great. And if Mitchell can give us anything, we're gonna be ready to rock and roll.
It's so hard to defend too, right? Like it's like going back to when I mean, I this is just top of mind because I just watched it. When the Patriots drafted Gronkowski and Aaron Hernandez, it was just uncoverable. Like, it's the same two tight ends almost. It feels like just athletic ability, and then like the big guy who just catches everything. I mean, and then you have Derrick Henry. I mean, because you're going to need multiple people to bring him down, unless you fall in front of him and trip him, hopefully. But that's about it. Yeah, it should be exciting. And plus, there's still some receivers out there that we have a chance to go get as well. So it's exciting, but it's also like, all right, what the hell are we doing with the offensive line? So
this Pittsburgh Steelers, all these transactions the Steelers have made, to roll the topic of Patrick Queen. I mean, they don't usually move around like this. I mean, they've traded Kenny Pickett. They picked up Justin Fields for a 6th-round pick, conditional. They got Russell Wilson. I mean, they're making a lot of moves, and that's non-Steeler like. They're usually very stoic.
Yeah,
I really like what they've done so far. I think it was a no-brainer to get
agree.
Russ. I love the Fields trade. Kenny Pickett was gone because he basically asked for a trade. I mean, he was pissed off at the end of last year. He's a South Jersey boy, so he's a Philly fan, and they got something for him, so they didn't have to pick up his 5th year, so it was kind of a no-brainer. I think they're doing great.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as free agency and off-season acquisitions and stuff goes, I think they're killing it right now.
Opinion, I want your guys' opinion. Mike Tomlin is a great coach. I love him. I appreciate him. I mean, obviously he's our biggest rival, but I have respect for what Mike Tomlin does. But he's on the last year of his deal, and he hasn't signed a new one, and Pittsburgh hasn't offered him a new one. And what's that about? Because that's usually another Pittsburgh stalwart where they take care of their own. They don't want to make changes. And it seems like there's not a lot of commitment there. And they're making all these moves for the future. And is Mike Tomlin part of that future?
It's been loud the last couple of years about getting rid of him. Obviously, he hasn't had a record under 500, but I mean, all the Pittsburgh guys that I know, and then I ask them like, "Hey, what is it? What's the consensus?" And it is loud for like to get him out. I know that it was obviously loud for Canada last year. They got Canada out. If he doesn't do anything this year, they might just let him ride into the sunset. I'm not sure, but yeah, this seems like with all the stuff that they're doing, like you said, unstealer, like with all these acquisitions and moving around and stuff like that, this might be almost like a Hail Mary pass for him to say like, all right, we need to perform this year, because I think somebody said they only have one playoff win in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah, you're right.
So it's crazy as a non-Steelers fan to think that but I guess it makes sense. I'm trying to like process this in my head as I'm saying it. I think from the Ravens side, we've seen this with Harbaugh a couple of times in the past, where people kind of wanted Harbaugh out for a little while and then people came back around on him. Do you think it's just like fatigue, just because he's been there for so long? They just want new blood in there. Or do you think? I mean, you think it's a Tomlin thing? Like,
no, I think
don't
it's
know.
similar to Harbaugh, like you said, because I mean, there was a while there where the Ravens were on a pretty bad streak of us not winning much in the playoffs, and still, I mean, we haven't gotten past one win in the playoffs, but which is fine. I mean, we're regardless, the product on the field speaks for itself. But
Yeah,
I mean, the Steelers have just been in that mediocre like no man's land for a little while, where I know they were 11-0 to start the season, 3 years ago or something like that, but we all could see it, like this was not a good team. I think it was Ben's last year or something like that, and they were just limping around and barely beating people, and they're like, yeah, they probably shouldn't win some of these games. So yeah, I think it's if it was happening in Baltimore, I think it'd be very loud here as well. If we haven't won more than one playoff game in the last 10 years,
yeah,
I think that's probably what happened with Billick too. But I mean, he was also under 500, so
yeah.
There also seems to be a lot of culture issues in the locker room of Pittsburgh. If you go back to the Antonio Brown thing, which by the way, credit to Mike Tomlin because he kept that really under wraps. But the Antonio Brown thing, apparently Deontay Johnson, who was just traded, by Pittsburgh, was this is like almost addition by subtraction. I'm blanking on a couple other people who were not happy there.
Claypool,
Le'Veon Bell.
Le'Veon Bell. It could be strong personalities. Tomlin is a very strong personality, very matter of fact. And one of the most well-spoken coaches. Just how he presents things is phenomenal. But it just seems like there's some cultural issues there.
Yeah. Look, if Mike Tomlin is available after next season, say the Steelers don't have a great year this year, we're going to have Mike Tomlin, Bill Belichick, and Mike Vrabel and coaching free agency. I mean, it's going to be an interesting offseason next year.
New York Giants on line one. Hello,
Mr. Yeah, New York Jets too.
Oh yeah.
If Aaron Rodgers doesn't,
I think this is a proven year for both those
job.
coaches.
Yeah.
Proven year for both.
Robert Saleh cannot. He can't. He's not a head coach. He's a defensive coordinator.
Yeah, I think it's a
we'll
proven
find
year
out
for
more
both
this
those,
year
for both those coaches.
Yeah.
And I mean, Vrabel. I mean, obviously, I don't know if you have it written on here or not. Vrabel's taken that the front office job at the Browns.
Oh no.
This year
I didn't know about that. No.
Yeah, he's
that makes sense.
What's his role? Some kind of consulting role in the front office with the Browns. He's an Ohio guy, obviously. He's up in that region where he's from.
Okay.
I can't remember.
Good for him.
Person.
I mean, he needs to stay in the game and stay involved, but he's going to be a head coach in the NFL in 2025. I have no doubt about that.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? So now that now that Fields is coming to Pittsburgh, what do you guys think Russell Wilson's thinking? You guys, you think he's real happy, or you think there's going to be a QB competition? What do you guys think? Who's going to start?
Well, I was listening to Dan Patrick's show earlier today, and apparently Dan Patrick said his NFL source said that Russ went to Pittsburgh on the condition that he was going to be the starter. So Russ is going to start. Now, does this mean he has 3 bad games and then Justin Fields plays? Possibly. But I think it's going to be the Russ show and the Justin Fields thing. Now, Justin Fields, I think he's only making he can make like $5 million this year, but next year he's owed $25 million. They pick up his 5th-year option.
It's the first round option, yeah.
Yeah. So it's the Russ show, and Justin Fields is the safety net.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's a good person for Justin Fields to learn from too. I mean,
yeah, I mean, they're both low risk moves, but like you said, that if they have a culture problem, it's going to be weird if Russ is not cooking in the first 4 games and Justin Fields is sitting there like, all right, let's fucking go. Come on.
It's gonna get loud.
I can't believe really that it's a 6th round pick, but it's a conditional. It can turn into a 4th rounder. Depending on how many snaps or what percentage of snaps Fields plays this season. I can't believe the market wasn't bigger for him. It just seemed like all those free agent quarterbacks were off the board immediately, and then he had nowhere to go. And so a lot of people expected, most of the plugged in NFL sources expected him to garner interest for at least like a 2nd round pick, and they got at best a 4th rounder out of him. Why do you think the market was so low for him?
I think Ian Rappaport reported that. And I know Ian Rappaport reported this, that teams offered like a 4th or a 5th, but the Bears wanted to actually send him somewhere that he wanted to go. So they did right by him.
Yeah.
That's what they said. Yeah. I saw that report too. I think the Bears were scrambling to figure out where they were going to send him. I don't think the market was good.
Yeah.
And I don't know why.
They also have
either.
no leverage. They had no leverage.
They don't
because
That's
they didn't present the argument that they were going to keep him. So what is your incentive to try to pry him away when you know that they're just actively trying to get rid of him? You know what I mean? So I don't think the Bears played it right. But also, if they were just trying to do good by Justin Fields, I respect that. But look, you got to do good by your franchise first.
And if you're Justin Fields and you're looking at all these moves that the Bears are making right now, and he's like, man, what the fuck? They're bringing in all these pieces, and now I'm not going to be here. Like, I mean, he had basically just DJ Moore, and he was, what else have I had?
They fell ass backwards into like the best situation ever with the first pick in this draft, trading the number 1 last year, and now they have the opportunity to take. Well, we all assume Caleb Williams is going to be the selection, and then they have number 9 as well. And if they want to move back and get more picks, they can. If not, look, they got DJ Moore, they got Keenan Allen. They just need an offensive tackle at 9, and they're going to be good to go.
I've been on a football heater. I'm going to go Caleb Williams and Brock Bowers. That's the 2 picks.
I like that.
Yeah.
If Brock even makes it that far, do we think he's going to make it? I mean, I guess he probably will. There's like 4 quarterbacks.
He's going to come down to the medicals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I watched Orlovsky break down JT Daniels, and I was on the Caleb Williams train, and I'm like, man,
Jaden Daniels.
Jaden Daniels, sorry.
Yeah.
Yep,
JT Daniels, not quite as good a quarterback.
Nope, different person. Different human being.
He is a quarterback, though.
He is. Used to be
a real hype one.
But yeah, I've started to. I don't know where I'm going now. I'm like, man, Jaden Daniels looks like he's the more polished one from everything that I'm looking at Orlovsky breakdown. But who the hell knows? I don't know.
Yeah, it's
hell knows. And these quarterbacks leading up to the draft, 1 week it's one guy's rising, the next week that same player's falling, and another guy's rising. Screw all that shit.
It's rumor season. Yeah, it's smoke screens. Yep.
I don't believe a darn thing coming out of anyone's mouth right now.
Yeah.
Brian's a big fan of mock drafts, and he's Mr. Mock Draft.
Yeah. I mean, what incentive do you have to tell the truth about what you actually want to do? There's no.
Yeah, you have no. You're actively trying to deceive the other team. Like, I have no idea.
If I'm a player, I'm pissed off because this is my career, it's my livelihood, and you're just like talking shit on me so that you can draft me and move me down to millions of dollars.
I mean, you remember last year, everyone started talking shit on CJ Stroud that he was basically stupid because he scored so terrible in that one new test that came out. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, this guy's a moron. It's
Yeah.
like, what? This is ridiculous.
Yeah, he just
And
had
then he
one
goes,
of the best rookie quarterback seasons of all time.
I think unanimously was the best rookie season of anybody of all time, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone's going to
And
compare rookie seasons now to him.
yeah.
I want to see, like, that's why I liked Josh Allen so much when he came out, because he didn't have a lot of talent around him at Wyoming. He had to do something. Like, God, now you got me saying JT Daniels. But, but some of these guys, they have so much talent around them at the schools they go to that the receivers are wide the hell open. I mean, it's just the talent gap difference is so ridiculous in college. It's kind of hard to miss wide open receivers. And so I like to see guys who struggle. I want to see, if you throw an interception, how do you handle adversity? How do you come back? Are you freaking out? Do you handle yourself well in the next series? That's what really tells me if you're going to be a good quarterback.
Yeah.
Little breaking news from the group chat here. Buck Showalter back on MLB Network. Hell yeah. Love Buck on
awesome.
MLB Network.
Hell yeah. Love that. Always supporting Buck. We're Buck guys here.
I think the biggest Ravens news of this offseason, of this weekend since we last were on here, is that Joe Flacco just went to the Colts.
I think Joe Flacco's trolling the Ravens. He went to the Browns, the Ravens. Now he went to the former team that used to be in Baltimore.
Yeah, he had a great interview on McAfee show last week, towards the end of last week, and he was just as surprised as anybody. I think, like, he was hoping to get a starting job somewhere, and obviously he's not going to, but he's going to be a hell of a backup for Indy if AR-12 can't stay on the field.
I thought Seattle made a ton of sense for him.
I feel like Seattle makes a ton of sense for all those Ravens guys. I thought Patrick Queen in Seattle would have made a good marriage too.
Yeah.
Especially with McDonald going there and knowing the defense. But
I don't know what their cap space looks like.
I think they got some.
Not on the rundown here, but I want to bring it to the group. Aaron Donald retiring. Greatest D tackle of all time? Question mark.
Up there for sure.
I'm putting him as that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was like one of the most dominant players. He was the best player in the NFL for like 6 straight years. He won 3 defensive MVPs, like 6 straight first team All Pros, and he just retired at 31 or 32 years old. There was rumors he was going to retire when he was 29, and they had just won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, hell of a career. Everyone thought he was undersized coming out of Pitt, and he slipped in the first round, despite the fact that he was obviously the most talented player defensively, at least in that draft. He slipped to like the middle of the first round, and lifetime Ram, one of the greatest Rams of all time. Great career.
As a pure interior lineman, he never went on the edge. Like J.J. Watt would go on the edge from time to time. It's him or Warren Sapp to me. I'm not trying to go way back in the day. Modern era, Warren Sapp or Aaron Donald. You 6.5 dozen, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can. You can't go wrong with either of those guys. Warren Sapp was a completely dominant player, and I think. Yeah, the only player more recent memory that I can think of is Ndamukong Suh, but he was a little bit different because he was more successful towards the beginning of his career and actually more successful in college than he was in the NFL, I guess, probably a little bit. But
Aaron Donald always reminded me of John Randall, who was my favorite player when I was a kid.
He played for the Vikings, right?
Huh?
Did he play for the Vikings?
Vikings. He had the war paint coming down. There were people who acted crazy. He was legitimately crazy.
Yeah. Those are the guys that are scariest.
Yeah. If you ever watch his football life, the show on the network or whatever platform it may be, they recreated his house. And it's the beginning, like 3 minutes of the show. And his house was the size of a closet. And he was there with like 4 people, 5 people, something ridiculous. And he's a big man.
Dude, back to the Pitt stuff.
Yeah,
How do they
Looney
just
Tune.
keep producing Hall of Famers?
I know.
It's awesome. They're
How
so
does this
good.
keep that?
They're never good at football either. They're like their ceiling is like the 17th best team in the country over the last 15 years. But yeah, so many good Pitt Panthers.
It's funny, like Pitt puts out a ton of product in the NFL, and Ohio State can't put out a good quarterback except CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud. Name an Ohio State quarterback that's worth a damn ever, other than CJ Stroud.
Other than CJ Stroud.
CJ Stroud.
We mentioned it earlier, but Keenan Allen, I think to the Bears. Keenan Allen to the Bears for a fourth. I think this is kind of a shame for the Chargers. I know they needed to get under the cap. They cut Mike Williams too. They decided to go the route of keeping Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack over saving Keenan Allen. He's obviously going to go down as one of the best receivers in Chargers history. He's second in yards in only to Antonio Gates. But yeah, I think he really makes a difference for the Bears, and Caleb Williams is going to have a nice little security blanket, and then he's got DJ Moore on the outside. I'm excited for the Bears offense.
Yeah, did you see his interview? Keenan Allen's interview. He basically said like they came to him and asked him to restructure his contract, and he's like, "Why the hell would I restructure my contract? I just had the best year of my life and best year of my career, and I'm 31 years old. Like I'm not restructuring shit." But I mean,
good for him.
What does Jim Harbaugh think? I mean, rhetorical question, but you walk in, you're just dumping everybody because you had to get under the cap. Like, why the fuck would you want that? Only because Justin Herbert's so good?
I mean, they didn't dump that many. I mean, they honestly, I thought they did a pretty good job of keeping people.
Well, they lost Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. I mean, I don't know about you, but I didn't see much out of Quentin Johnston last year that makes me think he can be even a number 2 receiver, let alone a number 1. You got a $50 million quarterback. He's got no weapons. What are they going to do?
He loves dropping footballs. You spent so much money on your quarterback, but you got a 10-cent offensive line, except Rashawn Slater. Your defense has 2 aging guys who have trouble staying on the field. 2 edge rushers
Both of them do.
On the field. Their best player probably is Derwin James on the damn defense. So
and he has trouble staying on the field too.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't see it. I don't see it.
I think. I mean, with the way receivers are coming out of college these days, in the last 4 or 5 years since Jamar Chase, really, and all them. I just think receivers are better coming out of college right now. And that's probably what he's banking on it to be. I mean, if I had to guess. Banking on drafting people, or they probably went to. I don't see why they couldn't go to Allen and say, "Hey, let's just fucking turn this into a bonus or guaranteed money or something, whatever." And whatever they need to do to get out of the salary cap to keep him around for a couple more years. Mike Williams, I get he can't stay on the field for anything. But yeah, I would have to imagine he's banking on the draft. He probably thinks he can get somebody in free agency still, and he's probably more worried about the offensive line. He kept some of his stalwarts. I thought he was going to have to get rid of more people, but keeping Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa there, I thought was a pretty decent job. Who else was it? Somebody else. But
it's really nice to have a great quarterback, but when you got a guy in your crotch every single snap, it's kind of hard to throw the football.
Yeah.
And especially with, I mean, the Raiders made moves. They got Christian Wilkins and Max Crosby coming after him. The Chiefs have Chris Jones. The Broncos are going to be ass, but they don't matter.
They got a couple more years.
I mean, I don't know. I
think the Broncos got a couple more years before they get out of their salary cap purgatory that they're in right now.
Yeah, I think it's like 30 million and like 50 million the next 2 years for Russell Wilson. So they're going to be in
topic for another day. I would love to see like who's going to like what DraftKings or FanDuel has is like the worst. Like who's going to be the worst team next year? Who are the odds for the worst team? And I think the Broncos are going to be right there.
They're going to be down the list, that's for sure. Panthers.
The Panthers, yeah.
I mean, even though I just don't. I don't understand the Brian Burns trade. I just don't.
No,
I don't get it.
Yeah. So let's talk about this. This is ridiculous, I think. So Carolina trades Brian Burns, who's one of the best edge rushers in the league, for a second and a fifth. 2 years ago, it was widely reported that they were offered 2 firsts and a second from the Rams for Brian Burns, but they declined. They wanted to keep him in Carolina and develop their young team. And then they took a swing last year at Bryce Young. They got Adam Thielen. They thought they were going to have this big year, and they fucking stunk. And they, the best they could do now, instead of letting Burns walk for nothing, was to get a second and a fifth, and they completely fumbled this. Good for the Giants, though. They got a hell of a player, and 5 years, 150 million. So they got their guys locked up. But Carolina, what are you doing?
I don't know, man. He was the heartbeat of their defense. That's who they should be building around, of the organization, really.
Yeah. I think they still have Kinlaw, who they drafted. He's really good, but they fumbled this terribly. And if you're hitching your wagons to Adam Thielen, you got a real problem.
Yeah. And aging Adam Thielen. Adam Thielen was great for a long time, but yeah, at this point in his career where he's past his prime. But yeah, look, I mean, we're gonna shit on Carolina a lot, but look, they look like they're probably going to be the worst team in the league again. They've made a lot of really bad decisions the last couple of years. The new owner kind of looks like a clown, especially with all the shit he pulled in their last couple games last year. But good for the Giants. I mean, they got their guy to complement Thibodeau, who they drafted in the top 5 a couple years ago. They just paid Dexter Lawrence a ton of money up the middle. He's really one of the best D tackles in the league. Their D-line is scary. Thibodeau, Burns, D. Lawrence, they're going to get after the quarterback for sure, and they're going to need to, because Daniel Jones stinks.
Yeah.
I think it said a lot with, what's his name, Morningweg resigning last year, and him and Daboll getting into it at the end of the year last year. I think that says a lot about, like, Daboll better prove it.
Morningweg or Martindale? Wink Martindale?
Wink Martindale.
I'm sorry, Martindale. Sorry.
Did not think we were going to hear the name Marty Morningweg today.
Marty Morningweg. I coached Marty Morningweg's son at St. Paul's, and Marty Morningweg. We were in spring training down in Florida for college or for high school baseball season, and Marty Morningweg, we're out having beers, and I said, "Give me your best draft story," and he said. When he was with the New York Jets, Rex Ryan was the head coach, and Rex would have a player come in that 15-minute session. You're allowed to talk with players, and he would put a coach on each side of you, north, south, east, west, and they would rapid fire questions. And it'd be like, read this defense. Tell me this. Tell me that. What's the purpose of an ice scraper? Like random stuff. And while this is occurring and all these rapid fire questions are happening, Rex Ryan would walk in a Hawaiian shirt and his boxers and just try to throw you off. They want to see how you would react. And that was one of my favorite stories Marty Morningweg told me about football.
I love Rex Ryan.
Rex Ryan's such a weirdo. That's awesome.
It took every ounce of my person not to ask Marty Morningweg this one question. Why, when the football overtime rules were the way they were first score wins, why did he decline? He won the coin toss and deferred, and they lost the game on a field goal.
Yep. I think he probably got asked that question enough times already. I don't think we need to ask him that.
Yeah.
Couple more things quick. Couple more things quick for football. Joe Mixon to Houston. I think it's a pretty good move for Houston. I think the Bengals are trying to save as much money as they can to sign Jamar Chase. And Joe Mixon's getting a little older, but he's still got some juice left in the tank. He looked pretty decent last year. And then longtime Cowboys left tackle Tyron Smith signs a 1-year deal with the Jets worth up to $20 million with incentives, but I'm sure the base is a lot lower than that. I couldn't get the information on that before we came on, but he was a really, really good player for a long time, but he's older and he's been hurt a lot the last few years. So this is going to be a high upside, really low floor kind of move for the Jets. kind of pushing their chips in even more with Aaron Rodgers probably only having a year or two left. At least that's what I'm assuming.
I know I've used the term hitch wagons here earlier in the podcast, but the Jets have hitched their wagons to Aaron Rodgers, and they are selling their soul to the devil. And this guy, and look, he's while we share the same last name, but he has a D. He just comes off as a pompous jackass. He comes off that way. Now, he might be a great human being, but he comes off like a pompous jackass. This shit about running as a vice presidential candidate, and he's not even reporting it. It's other people and other media outlets. Is this something you want in your organization that is floundering at the moment? No.
I don't know. I go back and forth on it so much because I really do think that Aaron Rodgers is like the most talented quarterback I've ever seen in my life until maybe Patrick Mahomes now. But the things he was doing in Green Bay, he had a throw to, I'm blanking on the tight end's name, Jared Cook. When Jared Cook was with the Packers that one year, he had a throw in the playoffs against Dallas to set up a Mason Crosby field goal to win in Dallas in the playoffs. In I don't know, probably like 8 or 9 years ago. That I don't think I'll ever see a better throw than that throw as a sideline to Jared Cook. If you look it up, it'll come up. But the last couple of years, I think he's rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. But I don't know. I still think he can bring some value to the Jets if he can get back to just being that like guy who never throws picks, takes care of the ball. And I mean, they're going to try to run the ball as much as they can. And older quarterbacks are going to live off play action. So if it works out, I mean, it's going to work out great for the Jets if everything hits, but it's going to be so hard for all these things to hit because there's so many moving pieces.
And you have a guy who can't coach in Robert Saleh. I mean, I'm sorry. You lose your quarterback, but you have a great defense, and you still can't produce anything. And you went with Zach Wilson. I mean, go get Joe Flacco. I mean, the Vikings lost their quarterback, and they still did pretty decent. Kevin O'Connell did a good job. I just don't think Robert Saleh coach. I think it's shambles. And this has all the makings of like when Michael Jordan wanted to be the GM of the Chicago Bulls, Jerry Krause told him, no, I'm going to do it my way. And he drafted Scottie Pippen in this. When LeBron James wanted to be the GM of the Lakers, look what that did to him. I mean, he started getting all these guys asking for all these players. I mean, like Tristan Thompson was showing up and shit like that. Like, it doesn't make any sense. You can't let players run the organization. You just can't. And it seems like what Aaron Rodgers is doing right now is trying to just, hey, let's bring in Randall Cobb. Great. Thanks for your 12 catches, buddy. See ya.
I don't think he's asking for people.
I mean, if David Bakhtiari goes somewhere other than the Jets, I would be stumped.
Well, now that they got Tyron Smith, I don't think they'll be going after Bakhtiari. I don't really know what the market is for him right now because he was supposed to get $40 million this year. He's not going to get anywhere near that.
He hasn't played in 2 years.
I'm interested in where he's going to go.
He hasn't played in 2 years. I mean, and you can put me on record for saying this. I think Rodgers is going to tear it up this year.
I think he's going to be a complete show. I'll go against you on this one, Brooks. I think he's going to be terrible.
We've got a little dissension. I could see it going either way. I'm not leaning one way or the other. I'm going to have to wait and see what they're looking like closer to football starting. But I do know that it seems like the very best of the very best usually find a way to make some magic happen. So, and I really do think that he was one of the best quarterbacks. He is one of the best quarterbacks of all time. So I think if anybody can do it, he can do it.
I'm not going to question the man's talent because he is extremely talented. And he might be the most talented quarterback I've ever seen. I just really feel and see that he's become more of a celebrity than a quarterback.
All right. That's fair enough.
You guys want to take a shot at the baseball trivia question? Just kind of jettisoning.
I was just about to say that. I'm struggling to come up with names. Brooks, have you thought of anything?
I don't think Tony Gwynn hit more than 350.
No.
I would say like maybe Larry Walker.
All right, I'll give you 2 hints.
Todd Helton.
I'll give you 2
Yeah,
hints.
give us some hints. Yeah.
American League. They played on the same team at the same time.
Is this recent or really old?
Oh, no, they're both deceased.
Okay. Is it like
one dated Marilyn Monroe?
I want to say Ted Williams or Lou Gehrig is
Mickey Mantle.
what?
Nope. Joe DiMaggio and Yogi Berra.
Lou Gehrig and Joe DiMaggio? Yogi Berra? Wow.
I can't believe he had 350 home runs.
Did Ted Williams not have
Yogi?
350
I didn't know
runs?
that either. I didn't think he was that much of a he probably struck out that more. I know he didn't have as many because he lost a couple years to military service.
Yeah.
So his stats aren't his accumulating stats aren't as high.
I mean, I heard this from the Yogi Berra documentary because some writer or whatever broadcaster we gave that trivia question out. If someone wants to fact check me on Ted Williams, it has to assume that Ted Williams had more than 500 strikeouts.
Yeah, it probably is.
Fact checking now.
Yeah, great. Good question. Anything else from the week sports you guys want to talk about? Geno Stone to the Bengals. OBJ said this morning he's not coming back to Baltimore. Thanks to fans for all the support. Tyler Huntley goes to the Browns. Just rapid firing some other stuff that happened this week.
And that's interesting. Like with the Tyler Huntley, it was great for Tyler Huntley because we weren't going to pay him, and I'm glad he got paid. That also made me think like maybe Justin Fields is coming here. I don't know when those transactions transpired, like which one happened first, because they knew they weren't going to bring Tyler Huntley back. Why not throw a 6th-round pick and go get Justin Fields?
I think it's bizarre that we wouldn't match because it was just a vet minimum deal for Tyler Huntley. Vet minimum with I don't know what the Ravens are thinking why they couldn't match that. If maybe they have somebody else in mind to be the backup. But if you're paying Tyler Huntley, who I consider a pretty good backup quarterback and vet minimum, I don't think that's that much. That's obviously not much money. Like I don't know why we couldn't match that unless we just see something.
Someone check me on this, but didn't we get Malik Cunningham from the Patriots?
We did. Yeah, we did.
You think that's the play? It's just a younger version of Tyler
Maybe
Huntley?
That's what they're thinking. They saw something in camp last year, and they're just like, look, we're going to go with him as the backup. But I don't know. Or maybe they see someone in the draft that they can take in like the 6th round that would be a better fit, cheaper. But I don't know. It just seems bizarre to me. I feel like letting go of a pretty good backup quarterback for basically nothing doesn't really make much sense to me.
And I like how we always have Louisville quarterbacks now. Louisville quarterbacks. Yeah, because I think Cunningham went to Louisville.
Yeah, and he was a stud.
Tyler Huntley went to Louisville.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know Tyler Huntley went to Louisville.
No, Tyler Huntley went to Utah, I think, didn't he?
Oh, he did. Yeah, you're right. My bad. That's on me.
He went to Utah.
Sorry.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Tyler Huntley beat Justin Herbert in the Pac-12 championship in Justin Herbert's last college game. I was so out on Justin Herbert coming out, man. I was so wrong about that guy. I was so wrong about that guy. I used to bet against Oregon all the time that year. He stunk.
Bo Nix. Does Bo Nix make a ton of sense to the New York Giants? What do you guys think on that statement?
I don't know.
I'm seeing that Bo Nix could sneak into the 1st round now too. I don't know how many quarterbacks are going to go in the 1st round, but I'm seeing everyone thinking all these quarterbacks can hop in somehow. To the Giants, yeah, I can see it. I mean, they definitely could use a quarterback. I don't think Daniel Jones. I think they can get out of that contract after the season, and I can't imagine that he's gonna perform well enough to live up to the, I think, $80 million that they would have to pick up to keep him over the next 2 years. So,
just a comment.
Yeah, I'm interested.
Bo Nix looks like a quarterback. JJ McCarthy looks like an actor who's going to play a quarterback. And apparently, like the Broncos are like all over, like drooling all over JJ McCarthy.
I think JJ McCarthy might throw 103 miles an hour. I mean, just the way he was throwing he just had no touch on the ball whatsoever. Like he was
man.
he just fucking throws rockets.
That's
Everything
not
is
always
100
good.
miles an hour. No, it's not.
That's not always good. That was one of my biggest criticisms of Lamar in the playoffs. The first couple playoff games Lamar played, it always seemed like he was just throwing the ball way too freaking hard. Just like
I think we might have talked about this on one of the first couple podcasts, like right after the national championship or right around that time. Like, yeah, he just like had no touch on the ball on some of these, and like there was like 4 or 5 drops just because he's throwing 10-yard routes and he's just like throwing them as hard as he freaking can.
Yeah.
All
right.
I unfortunately have to go to a viewing. So yep. I have to jump off here, guys. But
yeah, I think we'll end it there anyway.
Yeah, we're gonna call it here, I think.
Yeah. And we'll reconvene tomorrow, talk about some college basketball.
Possibly. I'll text you guys outside, but outside the group chat, but we might have a pretty cool guest coming on this week to talk about March Madness. Just a teaser. He beat the Terps in the 2007 Sweet 16 pretty much by himself. And went to the national championship. So hopefully we'll have him on here this week. Hopefully tomorrow. We might even do that as a live podcast for our first one. That might be cool. So if we do, we'll put it out there on social media like, hey, we're going live at this time. So but we'll talk about it a little bit more outside of here, and we'll let you guys know soon.
Yep.
Here's awesome. You want to add anything to the You're walking away. She's walking away.
She's walking away. She don't want to be on camera.
You want to talk about court storming again?
All right, fellas.
All right.
See you boys on the next one.
See you boys on the next one. Thank you, guys.